Hi guys, welcome to Less is More. My name is Dan Wellman, and today we'll be looking at one of the most powerful and time-saving features of Less, mix-ins. Mix-ins at their most basic level allow us to mix in the values of one class into another class, without using any special syntax or functions or anything else like that. So this is another feature that can help us reduce the amount of code we have to write and the amount of duplication that is naturally found within CSS. In our example Less file, which we have here, there are a number of font face rules, and all of them use font weight normal and font style normal, which is standard practice with font face, but it's a lot of duplication. So we can fix this by creating a normalized class and then mixing that class in where it's needed. So we'll start out by defining a normalized class. And we'll just define the styles that we want to mix in here. And actually that should be font weight. And we'll use font style as well. And now wherever we want to use our font weight and font style normal rules, we can just use our class instead. So we can just do that. And if we replace all of these with our mix-in, we'll just replace all of these. Okay, so that's much better. That's much less duplication. And as with our variables, we've only defined our mixing class once, and it's reused wherever it's needed. So if we just compile our file, we'll take a look at the font face rules, and we should find that each of them has the font weight and font style. There we go. So mix-ins are fantastic for cutting down on duplication and saving ourselves time and effort. This allows us to dry up our CSS considerably. And there's a few more places in our Less file that we can make use of basic mix-ins like this. Another great space saver is where Microsoft's proprietary filters are used, especially because we most often need to use several rules to get the same effect in different browsers. So a mix-in like this can really help us out. So we can define one for opacity in Microsoft browsers. So we'll call this mix-in MS opacity, and then within the mix-in we can start with the MS filter property, and it's a long old property name this. So yeah, it's a good job we only have to type it once when we're using this, because it gets old pretty quickly. Okay, so yeah, that sucks a lot. And then of course, if we want to support older versions of IE, then we have to use a different filter. So we'll just define that as well. And now wherever we use opacity, as long as it's full opacity like we've defined here, then we can use our mix-in. So we'll replace a few instances of that with our mix-in class. So let's just find a few of them. Okay, yeah, that's not using 100%, so we can't use that, but this one down here is. So yeah, let's just remove that suckiness and use our mix-in instead. And now when we compile, if we look for Grid Ally hover image, it's got to be here somewhere. We'll just search for that again. Yeah, okay, so yeah, here's where we used it. Grid Ally hover, and yeah, that's come out exactly as we wanted. So if we were using that all over the place, I mean, it does get used in a few places. So if we wanted, we could go through and replace the rest of the instances, like this one here. We could replace that one as well. And that's great because it gives us several different styles and we just have to use one mixin name here. So all of that styling is included wherever we use this mixin. So another place where mixins can really help us cut down on duplication and type in the same old code over and over again is when we're dealing with vendor prefixes. So border radius is used a few places. It's used here, so there's lots of duplication there. And if we just do a quick search for border radius, we'll see that it's used in a few different places. So yeah, I mean, that's a lot of duplication. So we can get rid of all of that just by having another mixin. So we could call this one border radius. And we can define all of the various vendor prefixes inside our mixin. So yeah, it's already getting old just copy and pasting it. So just imagine if we had to type this out every single time that we wanted to use it. That would really suck. And we can even include the standard CSS version there. And now we can go through and replace some of the occurrences of border radius with our new border radius mixin. So we can only replace the versions which use the same value as our mixin. In the next part of the series we'll see how we can make mixins that are more flexible, but for now we'll just use a flat mixin. So a flat mixin is a term I give to a mixin that doesn't take any arguments. Oh, rubbish. So yeah, we can get rid of all of this now and just use our mixin instead. So yeah, that should probably have all of the vendor prefixes there, so we'll replace that. Yeah, so I mean, we could keep going throughout the file here and just replace all instances. So again, I'll leave you to go through and convert every single instance, but yeah, essentially that is the benefit of using mixins, and it can save us a lot of time and effort and a lot of typing the same old stuff over and over again. Mixins are one of the most popular aspects of Less, and there are many places on the internet that we can go to download all kinds of pre-made mixins that we can use straight away in our Less files without making any modifications at all. In this part we used classes for all of our mixins, but we can also use ID selectors instead of class selectors if we wish, so just be aware of that. So in this part of the series we looked at the most basic form of mixin, which allows us to reuse the styles from an entire class inside another class just by adding the mixins selector. A slightly more advanced version of the mixin that we've used today is called a parametric mixin, and that allows us to set mixins that are able to take parameters. And this is what we'll be looking at in the next part of this series. Thanks for watching.